how tough was it to kind of get into that holiday mindset? When these were being written, was the height of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's July. It's like July 4th holiday around in the US. But how difficult was that?
I'm like you. I love Christmas music and holiday music, so it was easy.
Yeah, for me, not hard at all.
Yep. Simon, you said you might have gotten some raised eyebrows?
Yeah, it was 38 degrees in Spain when I was listening to the Nutcracker and, Home Alone soundtracks and stuff like that. So, yeah.
What is happening, everybody? This is Dave Croft, and welcome back to another episode of the 52 Qs podcast, your weekly insight into the world of sync licensing, including production and library music. If this is your first time here, welcome. So glad you found me. However you found me, whether you are brand new to the industry or maybe you have thousands of placements, I promise you, you are in the right place. Also, want to give a huge word of thanks to our family, friends, and neighbors, subscribers of 52 Qs, who really do keep all of this going. Without their help, none of this would be possible. If you want to learn more about how you can support 52 Qs while also scoring a ton of extra subscriber perks like live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, hundreds of hours of archives, and the ability to post and submit music up to real libraries, then be sure to tune in a little bit later in today's episode. Speaking of today's episode, we've got a fantastic one. I am so thrilled to be joined by the three winners of our recent Christmas in July Composer Quest. This is a Composer Quest that we ran for the entire community earlier in the summer, back in July, well, hence Christmas in July. And our three winners in each category, we had acoustic Christmas, we had high energy holidays, and then we had a classical Christmas. So I am thrilled to be joined by Jenny Goodspeed, Ralph Oleski, and Simon Tong. We're going to talk about the challenges of working on seasonal music out of season and how weird is it to write Christmas music while it's 95 degrees outside. We're going to hear from them. We're going to hear their cues. We're going to listen to some of their other works and talk about their progress into the world of sync music. So you definitely want to tune in for that. But first, how was my week? It's been a fantastic week. It's been a very, very busy week. And for about the second week in a row, so far, as of this recording, I haven't written anything. And I'm starting to kind of feel the itch. And I'm going to be writing some hip hop a little bit later in the week. But why haven't I been writing? It's because I have been really busy wearing my publisher hat. I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast before, but I have a friend and mentor who helped to kind of bring me into the world of production music. He's an amazing guitarist and songwriter. But I remember several years in, he was writing less and less. And I used to think that was so weird. Like, how can you just not write? Turns out he was getting into publishing and mentoring and coaching folks and bringing cues in and listening to them and providing feedback and working with metadata and wrangling deliverables and all those other things. And I gotta say, I get it now. So Steve, if you're watching, I feel you. I understand now, because one of the things that we've been doing here in the 52 Qs community, especially for family subscribers, is a feature called the briefing room. What the briefing room is folks in the family pitching to libraries that I have a relationship with, that I know needs certain types of music, certain types of cues. And I know, because I coach and mentor these amazing composers who just maybe need a little bit of help along the way, with some one-on-ones and some form structure, mix, titles, all of those kind of things, which, we saw that kind of thing last week over in the cue reviews that we did last week. That's the exact thing that I do twice a week over for our family folks. So I know we have these amazing composers who just need a little bit of help and need somewhere to point their energy. And I know that I have these amazing publishers who need cues on the regular, and I can't single-handedly write all of the cues that they need. So I am helping mentor and coach these cues up into these libraries. And this weekend, the proof was on television because we had, I think, 4 separate composers across 6 different placements on the NFL on CBS. These were cues that were a direct result from briefs that we ran in the briefing room, and we did multiple rounds of revisions. Folks would bring their cues to a feedback sessions. I would give feedback videos. We would go in depth, and it's tons of back and forth. Like I said, multiple rounds of revisions, and then coaching them through deliverables and titles and mix and target loudness and all of those types of things. Handing them off to the publisher. Publisher sends them up, and we had 6 placements from the 52 Cues family just this past weekend. It was the first week of the NFL season, and I could not be happier. And I'm finding myself getting as excited for the folks that I coach and mentor with them getting placements as I would my own. I get that same adrenaline rush, that same, oh my gosh, that's Dominic's cue. Oh, Michal, who lives in Czechia, got his first placement ever. There it is. There's a clip. And here's the big takeaway. This isn't just some big commercial for 52Q subscribers, but here's the takeaway. And I say this to anybody pitching their music, wanting to get on television, wanting to get into film. When you get that placement, that can never, ever be taken away from you. There will never be a time, once you make air, there will never be a time again where you haven't made air. And friends, I'm not going to lie to you. That feels really good. It feels good. It feels validating professionally, personally, creatively to see your music on television, synced up to picture, and that feeling shouldn't ever go away. And if it is, and if you're watching this and you're like, that's no big deal. This is another. No, I still get that little thrill when I make a placement, when I see a cue sheet, when I look at TuneSat, and whoop, there's my placement. There's a placement. Yeah, it's some crazy show in Germany that I will never see or hear or be able to pull a clip from, but I got air and I get that little hit, that little rush. And I found myself getting that same rush when my students make air. So that has been my week. I will be getting back to writing a little bit later because I do need to write. Now, as far as our topic, like I said earlier, I'm so thrilled to welcome the winners of the Christmas in July Composer Quest. So here is my recent interview with Jenny Goodspeed, Ralph Oleski, and Simon Tong. I am so thrilled to welcome the 3 winners of our recent Christmas in July Composer Quest. I want to welcome Jenny Goodspeed, Simon Tong, and Ralph Oleski to the podcast. Good evening, folks. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, and the reason there are 3 winners is for the first time ever, we had 3 separate categories. Well, as far as I think back to Fright Night. It must be the holiday theme that we have, like all these. But the last Composer Quest, it was just kind of one winner. But we had 3 categories. We had Miss Jenny Goodspeed won for the category of an acoustic Christmas. We had Simon, who won for the classic Christmas magic. And we had Ralph, who won for high energy holidays. Now, we're going to take a listen to each of their, I'll say it, award-winning cues. We're going to listen to each of them, and then we're going to talk about their careers and maybe have a listen through some of their other music. So I want to start with Ralph. Now, Ralph, your cue is called "Please Shred Ye Merry Gentlemen." And before we take a listen to it, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, either your journey into 52 Qs or just your sync journey?
My journey into 52 Qs has been from the YouTube channel back in the day. And I would have Qs reviewed on the YouTube channel. And since then, I just followed along and, love the concept, love everything that goes on. And that kind of got me into sync back a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
As far as this particular Q, I originally had named it God Shred Ye Merry Gentlemen, but I thought it might be a little too Old Testament. So I had to change that, so make it a little more family friendly. But I've always liked the rock versions of Christmas tunes. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Gary Hoey, all these guys, all these rockers have had Christmas albums. So that's what mine's based on.
Yeah, and you're no stranger to rock. You are one of our resident rock shredder heads. Tell us a little bit about how you came to be playing guitar and how you've really leveraged guitar into your production music world.
Been doing guitar longer than I'd want to admit. Teaching since the 70s and just played in bands, cover bands all along the way. Just love the rock and roll stuff, classic rock stuff. And it turns out my very, very first placement was a rock cue. I got put on RuPaul's Drag Race. My most recent one was another rock cue that I got put on CBS Sports. So in between, I've had, some success with the rock stuff, and it just comes natural just because I've always done it. And
yeah. Have you found any challenges or any advantages to being a guitarist in a VST dominated industry like production and library music?
No, in fact, I did my first. I've been doing this in a workstation kind of thing with my 25 years ago. I did a CD with a Digitech GSP guitar processor and a Roland JV1080 and with a little keyboard controller. And I did a CD, like I said, 25 years ago. So, and left it probably for a number of years. I got involved. I got a real job, which was a drag, but but then, I got laid off after 18 years with that and came back around to teaching and back into music. And that's pretty much all I do now. I love it.
Yeah.
I just love the sounds and what you can do with everything. It's just the sonic stuff is what blows me away.
All right. Well, let's take a listen. We're going to take a listen to Please, not God, but Please Shred Ye Merry Gentlemen, the award-winning first place cue for the high energy holidays. So that was Please Shred Ye Merry Gentlemen from Ralph Oleski. Ralph, thank you so much and congratulations. And we're going to hear a little bit more from Ralph later on. But, I want to stay in the Christmas mood because, it's September and it's never too early to listen to Christmas music. I do have my dad joke. Can I give you my groaning dad joke? You're allowed to listen to Christmas music in any month that ends in brr. I always appreciate the pity chuckles that I get with that joke, but it's one of my favorite jokes. All right, so next up, Simon, tell us about Sleigh Bell Waltz and tell us also a little bit about your journey to 52 Qs and your production music journey.
Okay, well, Sleigh Bell Waltz is a waltz for full orchestra. I've got some live trumpet on it. I'm a trumpet player by trade. That's pretty much it. Sorry, it's very difficult talking about something when Christmas music in this time of year is. I've already tried to move on from it. So it was interesting, like trying to do reference listening while I was on holiday in Spain, listening to lots of Christmas albums and other stuff. And my family will give me some very weird looks while sitting on the bus. And I just wanted to draw on lots of different elements from a classical background, which I have. And I think I achieved what I wanted to with the track. And with Sync, I'm relatively new to everything. If I'm honest, hearing production music as a career was last summer. Discovering 52 Qs was October last year. And I decided from January onwards to try and take it a bit more seriously. And I've been involved in one of the composer quests within the 52 Qs community, writing one track every week for the whole year so far.
Right, yeah, the Expedition 52.
Exactly, yeah. So I think we're up to week 38 or something.
Yep.
And so that's been going really well. That's definitely kept me motivated. And then on top of that, I'm doing the Summer Mastermind this year, which has meant that I'm, trying to do 2 or 3 Qs a week, which is, when I'm not doing this, I'm teaching music in schools. So it's just been the summer holidays. So it's not been so bad then. But now I'm about to go back to full-time teaching. It's, I might slow down a little bit.
Well, let's take a listen to Sleigh Bell Waltz from Simon Tong. That was Simon's Sleigh Bell Waltz, the winner of the Classic Christmas Magic category. And before we listen to Jenny's here, I just want to ask all of you, how tough was it to kind of get into that holiday mindset when these were being written? Was the height of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere? It's July. It's like July 4th holiday around in the U.S. But how difficult was that?
I'm like you. I love Christmas music and holiday music, so it was easy.
Yeah, for me, not hard at all.
Yep. Simon, you said you might have gotten some raised eyebrows.
Yeah, it was 38 degrees in Spain when I was listening to the Nutcracker and Home Alone soundtracks and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to put yourself into the mood. And, one of the reasons we wanted to do Christmas in July, first of all, I remember growing up and it's like Christmas in July at like in camps and stuff like that. But also, the production music world, the video editors need the music much, much sooner than you actually get it on air. Any Christmas commercial you see on TV was probably shot in the summer. Right. Which is sobering when you realize that they're all surrounded by snow, but they were probably sweating their butts off on set. And so, we just have to kind of get into that mindset. And if you wait until November to write Christmas music, it's probably a little bit too late, or you're 13 months early for the next year. So coming back around, Jenny, tell us a little bit about In the Bleak Midwinter. You were, I think, the only vocal cue that was submitted. Of course, you could have done vocal or instrumental and public domain or originals, but there was something really, really special about this cue. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I knew I wanted to do a vocal song only because I am a singer, but in the couple years I've been doing this kind of music, I never recorded a whole song of myself. And I just wanted to gain experience doing that. So I just tried to I love like this song, What Child Is This? Those sort of like melancholy, but like poignant carols. So I settled on this one. And by trade, I'm an acoustic folk Americana musician person, so staying in the acoustic realm was pretty easy.
Yeah, there's not a lot of peppy Christmas carols that have the word bleak in the title.
Yeah. Also, I'm a huge Peaky Blinders fan, and that was like one of Tommy's. If you watch that show, that they would say in the bleak midwinter.
All right, well, let's take a listen to the winner of our acoustic Christmas category. Here is Jenny Goodspeed with In the Bleak Midwinter.
Frosty wind mid-morn, earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak
I have a confession to make. If you'll remember, and if you've been watching the podcast, maybe you remember the episode that we did. I guess it was beginning of August, I think, is when we had the live stream and everything. And I had a very real, non-manufactured, but a very real emotional response to this. And when I was done, I was like, I bet I really it's hard to project impartiality when I'm like tearing up and crying like on air, but it was just real. And so Jenny, I hope I didn't embarrass you. I hope that wasn't too weird or whatever, but there was just something really, it was a moment, and so that was very, very special, even if it did swing the votes in your favor, maybe. But there was something, maybe it was vocals, but can you talk about either that moment, not like I made Dave cry, nothing like that, but as a songwriter, and you are a vocalist and a songwriter, what is that like when you find yourself connecting emotionally, like with an audience?
Oh, it's just the best. I mean, it's the best feeling. I was, I was insecure about it because I'd never recorded myself before. And after like spinning my wheels, I ended up doing if a producer was here in the room with me, they would have me do 3 takes and then comp together a version. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to act like I'm the producer. And that allowed me to sort of just feel, really, when you sing a song all the way through, you feel, it allowed me to really, and honestly, I started choking up a couple of times that I was trying to sing it. So I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So it just reminded me how powerful that is. If you are present, whether you're singing or playing an instrument or even using a VST, if you are present while you are putting it down, even if you have to tweak things afterwards, that translates.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've talked about how vocal music it's always been a thing. It's always been really important, but even libraries who have historically just been instrumental cues are finding their way into vocal music. We just did a brief that were all like folk pop hook lines. And this kind of gets us out of this kind of rut. And Ralph, there's another cue that you sent along that I absolutely want to feature, which was submitted for this pop folk lines. Can you tell us a little bit about that cue, about you working with a vocalist, and is this something you do on the regular? And then we'll take a listen to it.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed doing these. I did 2 of these, and this is one of them. And this is my singer that I work with in a duo, so it was real easy to get her. She's real amiable to this stuff. She does work for hire. So I said, what do you want to do this? And so we did it. And I liked the fact that it was the hook line, and I didn't have to write a whole song. I just went and did more or less a catchy chorus, and then just put different instrumental version, various cut down, this and that. And I really enjoyed doing both of those. And I'm a sucker for melody. So these, I think, have a pretty decent melody and harmony. And I'm probably going to end up doing a album of these. I enjoyed it that much. And it was nice that in the brief, there was a bunch of topics, and they were easy to just pick and choose what topics I wanted and go from there. It was fun to do. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, let's take a listen. This is Deep Lasting Friendship featuring Erin Rose.
Through every storm, through every night, with a friend like you, the future's bright. Bound by love, we shine so true. Deep lasting friendship, me and you. Through every storm, through every night, with a friend like you, the future's bright. Bound by love, like you, the future's bright. Bound by love, we shine so true. Deep lasting friendship, me and you. Deep lasting friendship, me and you.
That was really fantastic, Ralph. Thank you so much for sending that along. And I must say, and I can confidently say that cue is not available. So if you're a publisher looking for it, because that cue is submitted through our briefing room, which is a feature of our family subscription, where composers submit cues to briefs that coincide with publishers that I'm working with, and we mentor, and we have multiple rounds of feedback and all of that. And so, yeah, that was fantastic, Ralph. And I'm looking forward to hearing more of Erin's stuff, and to be able to kind of work with somebody who you work with on the regular. You know, did she come over to your place and you recorded it in your studio?
Yeah. Yep. This is it. This is the studio.
Easy breezy. That's
and
what's up.
One of the things we're working, another brief is for a spaghetti Western, and she's a killer whistler.
Oh, wow.
And she's going to whistle at Morricone type of stuff.
Oh, heck yeah.
And, yeah, it's like we do sitting on the dock of the bay, and she's got that nailed at the end of it. Yeah, everybody's like, wow.
Oh, is that a VST? Nope. That's
Nope,
unless
my
VST
girl.
stands for very symphonic. Nope, can't make it work. So I'm just going to bail out of this. Thank you, Ralph. Really, really appreciate you. Simon, one of the things that I've really enjoyed working with you on the masterminds and everything else is you are your superpower is orchestration and orchestral programming. And believe me, I am not just blowing sunshine up your butt when I say that this is some of the finest orchestral programming that I've seen. Everything just sounds so good. And I think you're about to prove it, right? Because we were going to take a listen to another one of your cues. This is a cue called Teeth in the Deep, which is for an upcoming album that you're working on that I think has a fantastic concept, but I don't want to spoil it. I want you to tell us about that album and tell us about Teeth in the Deep.
Well, this is my first attempt at writing an album of production music, which we're going to hear one of the tracks from. And I think the best advice I was given was write what you like and write what you're passionate about. And I, growing up, always loved nature documentaries, things on National Geographic, Discovery Channel, or here in the UK, we've got a huge amount of stuff on the BBC with David Attenborough, of which, now Hans Zimmer's writing music for, which is great. And I've just been always inspired by that sort of music for, I suppose, voiceover action. And this is my attempt at trying to capture some of that sort of ideas through production music ideas and doing it solely with VSTs if possible. And all in the DAW and Logic. And this track, Teeth in the Deep, is for a shark chase.
All right, so let's take a listen to Teeth in the Deep from Simon Tong. I did several cues for Shark Week, and I remember when I set out, I was like, I will not use minor seconds. You cannot invoke minor seconds and sharks in the same cue. You just can't do it. But I found myself unable to help it. I don't know if we're just culturally programmed. Thanks, John Williams. But I noticed that you have some minor seconds. Did you kind of circle around, no pun intended, the minor second temptation before just leaning into it?
Yeah, it was there, and then I thought this is could sound a bit too much like, let's change the tempo, let's do something different, and then it comes back around anyway. So yeah.
Well, I think that album, that nature documentary album, is such a great concept. And I like how you kind of balance, it's almost trailer structure, right? Like, because it's very specific for a very specific type of usage, you can kind of borrow from these other styles. And I think it works really, really well. So I am believing that whole album is going to take off. And is that available? I mean, is it, or are you planning on pitching it, or?
I will be pitching it sometime in the next month. Hopefully. I've just got one last track to write, and then just edits, just getting it finished.
Excellent. Well, if you're listening and you're a library or an editor or whatever, and you are interested in that album, then you can hit me up, dave@52cues.com, and I'll get you connected to Simon for sure. Or, I mean, I guess, Simon, you don't, you can give your email. I just assumed that nobody wants to put their email out, but we'll circle back and we'll get like Instagram handles and all that stuff here in just a minute. Okay. And lastly, but surely not leastly, Jenny, first of all, I have to give you your flowers, because the cue that we're about to listen to, which is called Punch Drunk Funk, there's something a little special about this cue, right?
Yes. As of this Saturday is my very first placement on network television, on any television for that matter.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. That is amazing. And so you caught it did you catch it live or on your TuneSat?
No, TuneSat caught it. It was Saturday, so I wasn't expecting, I was ready to watch Sunday football, and I guess there was a college game day kickoff that played it. So I noticed that my ASCAP account had added 2 new songs. So I was like, I wonder if that means it's been played. I have no idea. So I'll just check TuneSat, and there it was. And I know it's a small win in the whole scheme of things, but for me, it felt like it was like the first time you hear yourself on the radio, or like, it was just like, and then TuneSat, for those of you who don't know, actually captures the audio, where your track was played. So I got to listen to it, and I just felt so proud, and I felt so grateful to you and the 52 Cues community, because it literally wouldn't have happened without that. So.
Oh, well, let's take a listen to Punch Drunk Funk. That is such, as the kids say, dope. That is such a dope track. You know what? I'm going to say it unironically. That is a dope track. Super funky, and just huge congratulations. I remember where I was, like the first time I heard my placement, and that never gets old. It never gets old. And the moment it gets old, then that's the moment that somebody who is hungry for it and hungrier for it will come up and take your spot. So congratulations. And it could not have happened to a nicer person, but well done. Really well done, Jenny.
Well, it's made it a lot. I've been trying to explain to people what I've been doing these past 2 years. And finally I can say, okay, this is what I, because people are like, what do you mean? What? Huh?
Yeah, I write music for the background of TV shows. And if I've done my job right, you don't even notice it.
Very perfect for introverts.
Right. Exactly. Yes. This is an introverts mecca. I mean, this is what we are here to do. But that's just so I'm so happy for you. And this was another briefing room brief, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And had you written a bunch of funky cues like that, or was this another kind of first go at it?
No, just my first stab at it, because of the 3 albums, there were hip hop, funk, and rock, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to funk music, so I thought, and I love funk music, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And I watched a lot of you doing live streams, making those kinds of cues. So that was very helpful.
You know, one of the things that all 3 of you have in common, and this wasn't a prerequisite to submit, for the Christmas in July Composer Quest. In fact, Composer Quests are open to everybody, but I don't think it's necessarily a coincidence that the folks who do well in these, they have one thing in common, which is they embrace feedback and mentoring. So can we talk a little bit about that and how receiving feedback has really shaped you either as a composer or as a production music, kind of mindset? Ralph, what's been your experience working with feedback?
Okay, so one of the first experiences of that I had with you was YouTube. I had worked on a Happy Clappy cue, and I'd submitted it, and it was nice upbeat ukulele and acoustic guitars and everything. And then at the very end of the cue, I had this really cool little acoustic guitar riff going on, right? And you go, my feedback was, why is that just there? It should be at the beginning because it's cool. And I'm like, I put it on the beginning and it got signed to a library like that. So that's just like one example, but there's several. I mean, I always say, and this is not butt kissing, but when I go to the feedback sessions and I get certain things to change or possibly, rework the cue, it might be even at first I might go, well, I don't know if that's a great idea. I kind of like it the way it was, but then I do it and it's like, wow, this is so much better now. So that's my experience with it. It just helps a lot.
And Simon, you're in the mastermind, and that is like a feedback fire hose to the face, because not only am I giving feedback, which folks are kind of used to, but also we invite other members of the mastermind to give feedback, and then you are required to give feedback. I guess if you said no, I wouldn't make you do it, but it's definitely strongly encouraged. So what's been your experience in working with feedback, whether through the mastermind or through the community?
Well, as I said, because I'm quite new to this, I'm taking all the feedback I can get, just because the way I used to write music a year ago wouldn't have been suitable for sync. Everything I do now is I've had to adjust and change how long my phrases are, where my, what an edit point even is. Like, that was never something I would have even considered a year ago, that I need to have silences or almost stops every now and again. And I think the other thing, leading on a little bit from Ralph there with, changing something where you think, oh, it's already great, but you change it anyway. I think the other thing I've learned from this is these babies of yours, these pieces of music which you're so emotionally invested in, you can't really get that invested in them because you got to write another 20 or whatever. And, you just got to, not churn them out, but you got to change them, make them work, and then go on to the next one, even if it's, it's not necessarily your best work, but it works for what it does. And that's the sort of feeling I get from the sync way of thinking.
Do any of you kind of run into the how long do you have to lick your wounds after some feedback? Jenny, you were also a member of the mastermind, and I know, and I hope this is okay to say, and if it's not, I guess we'll edit it out or whatever. But it was so obvious to everybody else in the mastermind how talented you were, and how every time that you set out to write a cue, it was a home run. But there seemed to be kind of almost a lack of confidence, like in just your own abilities, or am I even doing this right? And so tell us a little bit about that, and about how you kind of had to shoo away the imposter syndrome and just openly receive the feedback.
Yeah, that was Mastermind was so good for me on multiple levels, but the confidence I gained from trusting in your feedback and the mastermind community feedback, and being like, you know what, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing at all. It's just so new, but I'm gonna trust that I'm the only one standing in my way of this being a way of life for me, and I'm gonna trust what these guys are saying, and I still struggle with confidence, but it's hard to put into words. It changed everything, that mastermind.
Yeah. I tell you what's great for the old confidence, making air.
Yes.
I'm not gonna. Yep. You make air, and you're like, oh, that's millions of people just heard that.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way. That's terrifying.
And then it's terrifying. Then it's kind of like you're like, oh, this is just, I'm just some like muggle in a room over a garage, and you're telling me my music is heard by millions of people. Okay, that's a little scary. But for all of you, like I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that whether it's Mastermind or the family or whatever, and I'm not like, if you're watching this or listening to this, I'm not here to sell you anything, but it's hard to argue with the proof here, because the Christmas in July was voted on by the community. It wasn't voted on. Shannon and I we didn't cast a ballot or anything. This is all voted on by the community. And I think that having some kind of community in place that is encouraging and also giving feedback to better yourself, whether it's 52 Qs or whether it's, over with Anthony and Clint Jr. or whatever, and this is one of the things I talk about, find your tribe, find your tribe. And I think all three of you, I hope it's not forward of me to say, but I feel like you have found your tribe here. And I do know, as your chieftain, is that if this is a tribe, is that, I don't know, this is getting weird, but I'm super proud of all of you, the same way that I would be proud if it were my own cues getting on air. So well done everybody, really appreciate you.
I think it's indicative of like how much this is a solo pursuit, but I was miserable doing it alone, and I finished hard. I could never finish anything because there was no reason to. I needed people who had the same goals and people to bounce ideas off of in order to actually not just procrastinate constantly and, or get drowned in my imposter syndrome. So I think it's especially important in a pursuit that is so, can be lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to remember that imposter syndrome needn't be debilitating. And if you are pushing into new territory, then that imposter syndrome is probably going to be a pretty persistent guest. It's what you do with that and how you respond to it. Do you crumple? Not you, Jenny, but anybody dealing with imposter syndrome. Do you crumple underneath it, or do you stand up in the face of it? So before we wrap up here, I want to give you guys an opportunity to tell us a little bit about maybe what you're working on now, maybe what's next, and how folks can get in touch with you. We'll start with you, Ralph. What you got cooking right now? And if folks want to reach you, do you have a website or Instagram or anything like that you can point to?
Yeah, website, ralpholeski.com. What I'm working on is, besides from 52Q briefs, I have other briefs I'm working with. So like I said, some spaghetti Western stuff, some blues, some acoustic blues. Also, like I said, I'd love to do an album that hook lines, because I found it pretty easy. And I love melody, and they were there, and not having to write a complete song lyric wise. That was heavenly. Just here, do 4 lines, you're good. That and just enjoying the process, which the thing I like about Sync most is that I'm doing something different all the time. Not wildly different. I don't do hip hop. I can't. I don't know why. But that's cool.
We all have our lanes, man.
Yeah. I like the guitar, the rock, funk, pop, folk, whatever. And then I like my tension, and, that I've got placements for tension, and I just enjoy the variety and the sonics of it. I love that.
Yeah, you've done a really good job. And this is something I heard listening to the Sync Beast podcast just this morning. They said most people, they make the mistake of trying to get their music into sync, but what they should be doing is trying to get sync into their music. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's, I think, something that you've done really, really well, which is kind of leveraging what you do well, which is play guitar. Obviously, I mean, you gig and you teach, guitar professionally. And so figuring out how to bend that into sync. And Simon, I think that's what you're discovering as well. Not necessarily how can I make my music work for sync, but what elements from sync can I put into my cues to make them work? So why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe what you got cooking up and how folks can reach you, either your website or Instagram or socials or anything like that?
Yeah, so I've got the album, The Hunt. Hopefully we'll be trying to push that to some libraries in the near future. If that's successful, I've got 1 or 2 other nature ideas, which I think would work. If that's that side of things, website, www.tongy.co.uk. I'm on Instagram as Simon Tong Music, and I'm on SoundCloud as well as Simon J. Tong.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. And Jenny, if folks want to follow the Jenny Goodspeed story, how can they follow you, either your website or socials? And what else you got cooking up next?
I'll tell you my website, but that means I have to go update it. But that's okay.
you got like 2 weeks, Jenny.
JennyGoodspeed.com is my website, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram's Jenny Goodspeed Music. I don't remember what my Twitter handle is.
That's fine. It's Twitter's circling the drain anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I am going to keep writing to room briefs that I can, and my main goal this year, and I don't know how to accomplish it, is to find my wheelhouse like Simon and Ralph has. I'm not sure what's going to be, or my thing, or my 1 or 2 things, because I'm interested. I'm just still learning about everything, and I keep trying to write all different kinds of cues. So, but I know it's best when approaching libraries to have an album. I would love to make an album. I just don't know what kind of album to make.
Yeah, I remember that from the Mastermind. It seemed like every week you would do this. Like, I didn't know she does this, and this is amazing. And then the next week, she can do. This isn't fair. You can do this amazing as well. Dang it! But you'll find it. You'll find it. And That's not to say that you have to choose like one or two things, but you're just you're one of those annoying people who are really amazing at many different things. I bet you were really, really good in school too. Probably reminded the teacher when we were promised to have a quiz. Like, Mrs. Johnson, you said we were having a. Were you that person?
No, I was good at school, but I wasn't stupid. I could do that.
And I didn't want to get beat up after class. Well, Jenny, Simon, and Ralph, thank you so much for joining me today. And again, a huge congratulations, not just on winning the Christmas in July Composer Quest, but also on all of your current and what I am sure will be your future success. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Every week I talk about how this episode and the podcast and the community, the channel, would not be possible without the amazing support of our family, friends, and neighbors, subscribers of 52Qs, who do pay their actual real-life money to keep all of this going. And in addition to being thriving members of the community, as well as supporting me and Shannon and everything that we're doing here, they also receive extra perks like live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, hundreds and hundreds of hours of video archives, weekly cue breakdowns, production music almanac, living ebook, and the opportunities to submit to real music libraries. Now, it's free to join 52Qs. You can just go to 52qs.com and sign up, be a member of the community. We would love to have you. It will always be free to join the community. But if you've been watching, or if maybe this is your first time, but if you're wondering, is there a way to kind of level up my production music skills in the industry, meeting like-minded, super friendly, very generous composers? Then why don't you think about subscribing? Memberships start at around $4 a month, and we would love to have you. Again, that's 52qs.com. Once again, a huge word of thanks to Ralph Oleski, Simon Tong, and Jenny Goodspeed for joining me today on the podcast. And again, congratulations. And congratulations to everyone who submitted, including the second and third place winners in each category. And the story actually isn't over yet, because we got so many amazing submissions, some of whom didn't even like place or win or whatever, but some amazing cues that we are going to pitch up to some library. So the story continues. If you're watching this and this was one of your cues, you submitted something and we're wondering kind of where it's at. Well, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be reaching out to folks and asking for deliverables. And we're going to start putting some albums together that might get some love out there in the publisher space. So be on the lookout for that. But if you are interested in getting connected with Ralph, Simon, or Jenny, we will have all of their links and websites and Instagrams, if they have them, in the description below. And I know that they would love to hear from you. But that is going to do it for us this week. You definitely want to tune in next week, where I am somewhat returning to the roots of the YouTube channel a little bit. If you go back far enough, I'm talking back in the Dave with a wild beard, pre-white glasses, terrible camera, and terrible lighting. One of the things I used to do pretty regularly is deep cue breakdowns, where I would actually open up the Logic session and go through all of the sounds and the choices and the mix and titling and all of that. Now, this is something that I do every week over for the family and friends subscribers, but I've kind of missed it out here in the YouTube space, so I am going to start this again somewhat on the regular, maybe every few months or so, starting next week with a deep dive into one of my epic orchestral hip-hop cues for sports. So you definitely want to tune in for that. And if you want to be notified of when I put up new episodes, because I do talk about production and library music every single week, this is available on YouTube. You can give us a subscribe. It's also available in any audio podcast app that you use. Consider following us and consider giving us a review or a thumbs up, all of those things that really do help folks find us. But I hope you've had a good week 37, and I know for a fact that you are going to have an amazing week 38. How do I know that, friends? Because I trust and believe that the entire universe has amazing plans just for you. Until next time, Peace. The 52 Qs podcast is copyright 2024 818 Studios, all rights reserved. The music played on the podcast is copyright of their respective owners and is used with permission and for educational purposes only. For more information, including joining the community or becoming a member subscriber of 52 Qs, head over to 52qs.com.